This year, we plan to interview every single Gold Award winner of the LPI's Learning Awards. And in this programme, we're talking to Octavius Black. He's the CEO of Mindgym, and Mindgym won the prestigious Learning Provider of the Year award. I managed to interview Octavius on Skype, and we talked a little bit about the impact of the award on him and on the business. But we then got into some very, very interesting discussion about the impact of formal learning and experiential learning and practice and rehearsal and all sorts of things around not what he calls 70-20-10. He calls it 174-1. So his focus on delivering learning has an even stronger focus on practice, rehearsal, habit forming, and embedding the learning and the behaviours from the initial learning event. Really interesting conversation. Watch it now. I'm delighted this afternoon to be talking to Octavius Black, who is the Chief Executive of Mindgym. And he is a Gold Award winner. So Octavius, is winning a Gold Award important for you and important for Mindgym?
We are very honoured to have won the LPI Learning Provider of the Year Gold Award. It has meant an enormous amount to the many people who work at Mindgym, as well as our 300 coaches across the world, as well as I think to our clients and certainly to potential clients and potential recruits. It's a fantastic validation of the work we've done, not only over the last 12 months, but over the last 15 years.
Just let me ask you to blow your own trumpet for a little bit and tell me, what do you think makes Mindgym special?
I think the magic in the learning world is to be able to deliver impact at scale. That means changing the way people think, feel, behave, perform all over the world pretty consistently so the results are virtually guaranteed. What we've done at Mindgym is create, if you like, the magic sauce. We've designed short, sharp workshops, which we call workouts, that can be delivered by qualified coaches in 40 countries at the same time in Manila, Missouri, Manchester, Mombasa. And whilst they are localized to make them relevant, they're also consistent enough so that global companies like Microsoft, Unilever, and Thomson Reuters choose to use Mindgym to affect large-scale capability and behavioral change.
And where do you see L&D developing over the next 4 or 5 years, and how do you think Mindgym will respond to those changes?
We see very much that learning and development is going down a far more data-driven, scientific, psychological, social science route. And one of the 6 beliefs that underpins Mindgym is that science is sexy. In research we trust. And therefore we feel very much that our shtick, if you like, of scientists and evidence-based approach to learning and development is where the future of this industry is going.
Yeah. So tell me, if an organisation works with Mindgym, they take the medicine, if you like, they swallow the Mindgym pills to continue the metaphor. What do you think the benefits are to that organisation?
Mindgym is in many ways a disruptor to the market of learning and development. Where, for example, the assumption used to be you had to spend a day to learn anything useful, we said actually it could be done in 90 minutes. Where the assumption was that you should start from scratch, we have actually said you're much better off configuring products that have already been tried and tested. So we have 100 workouts and go larges and other things that have been used with 250,000 people this last 12 months alone. And therefore we know they work, and therefore we can configure them uniquely for any organization. Another disruptive element is the idea that the coaches or deliverers had to be part of the organization. All of our coaches are associates. Another aspect is that people have often put their finger up and become self-appointed gurus. Maybe their thing is arts or sport or whatever analogy they like. We're very different from that. We're evidence-based. We look to what the social science tells us, what the psychology tells us, and we need to have an academic board that keeps us true. One of the 3 values that we have is that the integrity of what we do is beyond question, and that means it has to be grounded in evidence.
How would you suggest that learning leaders think about resolving learning and development issues in their organisation? Do you think that there are ways in which they should think now that would have been inappropriate 2 or 3 years ago, or ways that they should begin to think now because they'll be much more relevant over the next 2 or 3 years?
The challenge for learning and development professionals is how do we maximise impact for any given level of resource? Now, the evidence on this is very clear. If you take the same content and distribute it over time, you increase the level of application, of transfer, by half a standard deviation. That's about 15%. If you then recraft that content, so you're able to achieve in 90 minutes what normally takes a day, so you get people to practice using it and return, say, a month later to review what happened as a result, your levels of application increase far further. So whereas the old world might have been a 3-day course on management training, which would happen at the beginning of your career as a manager or at a certain transition point, and then nothing for a while, the future is going to be learning for 2 hours a month, and then putting into practice for the other 174 hours of that month, and then coming back for another 2 hours the next month, and repeating it month after month. So it's not a definitive end. I've suddenly mastered how to be a manager. In fact, that's a skill we never completely master. We're always learning more about. But the idea is to continue learning. Think gym versus health farm.
So it's a total embracing of 70-20-10. That it's in the practice and the discussion and the experiential learning that the event actually has credibility and credence.
Yeah, but it's almost not even 70-20-10. It's 174 and 1 or 2. It's that level of ratio, but we think of ourselves as constantly learning and constantly repeating and reviewing that learning.
That's it. So, in some ways, you're saying that the aim of a learning leader is to build a culture where learning takes place in spite of any kind of infrastructure. It's a day-to-day embedded in the psyche and in the practice of work, essentially.
Well, it is embedded in the psyche of work, but to make it so, you need almost 2 hours a month, like you might go to the gym for 1 hour a week, in order to become, to refresh your learning and to reinvigorate it and to reflect on what you have learned. So you take 2 hours a month out for formal learning and 174 hours a month for informal learning.
That's a great point on which to end. Octavius, thank you very much for your time, and I really enjoyed having a talk to you this afternoon.
Thank you, Nigel. All the best. Bye.